Hayden Panettiere's death has taken another serious turn, and this time, investigators are looking beyond the apartment itself. Police in Greenville, South Carolina, are seeking surveillance footage that could help establish Hayden's movements during the final hours of her life. According to a newly released redacted incident report, a courtesy officer at the Judson Mill Lofts reportedly had surveillance footage showing Hayden Panettiere and two other people coming and going from the apartment. Investigators plan to obtain that footage as part of the ongoing death investigation. And in my opinion, this is one of the most important developments so far. Not because surveillance footage automatically means police suspect foul play, but because investigators need to build a reliable timeline. Hayden Panettiere was found unresponsive inside the Greenville apartment on Sunday, August 16, 2026. Police and emergency medical personnel responded at approximately 1:51 p.m., and despite resuscitation efforts, she was pronounced dead at 2:32 p.m. She was only 36 years old. Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we're following the verified developments in this investigation and separating confirmed information from online speculation. Now, here is where the surveillance footage becomes particularly interesting. The police report says footage was believed to show Hayden entering and leaving the apartment complex along with Brian Hickerson and his brother, Zach Hickerson. The report indicates investigators wanted to obtain that footage, potentially giving them another way to establish who was present, when people arrived, when they left, and what happened before emergency responders were called. Brian Hickerson is significant because he was Hayden's former boyfriend and was reportedly at the residence when she was found unresponsive. The police report says both Brian and his brother Zach were present during the emergency response. But this is where I think viewers need to be extremely careful. The presence of Hayden's former boyfriend at the apartment does not, by itself, establish that he had anything to do with her death. Police have not publicly announced that Hickerson is a suspect, and authorities have said there were no apparent signs of foul play. The investigation remains ongoing. So why would investigators want the cameras? Because surveillance can answer basic but crucial questions. Who entered the building? Who left? What time did they arrive? What time did they leave? And most importantly, does a video match the account investigators have received from witnesses? That kind of information can help detectives reconstruct a sequence of events without relying entirely on someone's memory. There's another major point that needs to be emphasized. Hayden Panettiere's official cause of death has not yet been determined. Emergency dispatch information reportedly referenced cardiac arrest and a possible overdose, and first responders administered emergency treatment, including Narcan. But those details do not establish an official cause of death. The Greenville County Coroner's Office has said an autopsy was completed and found no trauma that contributed to her death. Toxicology testing is still pending, and officials have indicated that the results could take several weeks. And this distinction matters. There's a huge difference between saying an overdose was mentioned in dispatch information and saying Hayden died from an overdose. Until toxicology and the coroner's determination are complete, the second statement would go beyond what authorities have officially established. The police report also reportedly says Brian Hickerson directed officers toward a bag containing medications Hayden had been taking. The specific medications were redacted from the publicly released report. That is another reason investigators will want to establish the timeline carefully. If the surveillance footage is recovered, it could potentially corroborate when Hayden was seen entering the building, who was accompanying her, and whether the movements of the people at the apartment line up with the statements given to police. But I want to make one thing very clear. Surveillance footage is not the same thing as proof of criminal activity. It could ultimately provide nothing suspicious at all. It could simply confirm that Hayden was with people she knew before returning to the apartment. Or it could give investigators additional information they didn't previously have. At this point, we simply don't know. And personally, I think that is a responsible way to discuss this tragedy. Hayden Panettiere was more than the circumstances surrounding her final day. She became a recognizable child actor before reaching major fame as Claire Bennett on Heroes, and later earned widespread recognition as Juliet Barnes on Nashville. Her career also included appearances in the Scream franchise and other film and television projects. Her personal life, meanwhile, had been heavily scrutinized for years, including her struggles with addiction and her difficult relationship with Brian Hickerson. Those parts of her story are relevant to understanding the context investigators may be examining, but they should never be used to automatically assign blame for her death. Right now, the most important unanswered questions are straightforward. What will Hayden's toxicology results show? What exactly will the surveillance footage reveal? Will the footage confirm the timeline provided by witnesses? And will the coroner ultimately determine a specific cause and manner of death? Those answers could significantly change our understanding of Hayden Panettiere's final hours. But until authorities release those findings, speculation should not be presented as fact. What we know is that a 36-year-old actress was found unresponsive at a Greenville apartment complex. Emergency personnel attempted to save her. An autopsy reportedly found no fatal trauma, and investigators are continuing to gather evidence, including surveillance footage, to reconstruct what happened. And in my opinion, that is exactly what investigators should be doing. Following the evidence, verifying the timeline, and allowing the medical examiner and toxicology results to answer the biggest questions. Hayden Panettiere's death is already a heartbreaking story. The least we can do is make sure the information surrounding it is accurate. As more verified information emerges from Greenville Police and the coroner's office, the picture of Hayden's final hours should become clearer. And until then, we should remember Hayden not only for the tragedy of her final day, but for the career and performances that made millions of people know her name.